Joining us now, Andrew Bragg, who's a Shadow Assistant Minister for Housing and Home Ownership. Have I got that right?
G'day.
Was that a yes?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
Sure.
All right. Sounds like I was close.
You really stressed the assistant, though.
Being polite. Okay, so you're opposing this. Do you have a particular issue with foreign investment? Isn't anyone that wants to build houses for Australia to rent in, isn't that fine?
Well, we want the focus to be on people, not on institutions. And the problem with Labor's housing policy is they're obsessed with big super funds and also foreign fund managers building more houses. And this renting model, I think, would fundamentally change the character of Australian housing. So we want to put people at the focus of our policy formulation.
So rental rates in Australia, have never been zero. They're never going to be.
Yeah.
I think even the highest ownership we got to was 60 or 70%. So there's a big proportion who are going to rent.
Sure.
Always. What is your party offering for renters?
Well, we're offering more houses being built with more successful policy. Now, Labor's got two policies on supply, the HAF, but also the housing targets, and both have been a disaster. So, you've got to find a more effective way to get the houses built. You've got to be a party that supports supply and development, and you've got to help first home buyers into houses. And our policy on the table on super, I think, is the only policy that really
But that's about
will be
buying.
effective.
So
that's on the demand side.
Yeah, but what's the message for renters? Is it the old get a better job?
No, there's still going to be a role for renting, but we want to see the focus on home ownership. And I think our critique of Labor's housing plan is that it gives up on home ownership. Not even trying.
So I understand you want to make home ownership more achievable. But I'm just asking for renters. Is there anything specific, or you don't want to?
Well, we haven't announced all our policies yet, but we've already got two policies on the table, which I think would be more effective than all of Labor's supply and demand policies. And I remind you again that Labor's only got one policy on the demand side, which is Help to Buy, which is a friendless scheme, which is also stalled in the Senate.
I'm told there's a big housing policy you've got that's in the locker.
Well, it's not for me to announce.
Yeah, I mean, would it be more next year, if the election's next year, or will we see it soon?
Well, I think that's above my pay grade, but, I mean, obviously the
You might have heard, though.
Well, I mean, there is already two good policies out there. One's to reduce foreign demand for Australian housing, the migration changes, plus the super policy, and there'll be a lot more.
Can I ask you back, though, on if I'm just looking to rent, I can't get into the housing market to buy, do I really care if the person who built the apartment was a foreign investor? To me, that wouldn't matter as a renter. They just want to be able to find a place to rent. Well,
but I think we haven't even exhausted the Australian avenues. And my critique of the two supply policies is that the HAF is a $10 billion fund which hasn't even built any houses yet, and the housing targets themselves have already failed. So I think they've got to try and find a way to work with the states and the local governments to actually get the houses built.
But they say they're trying with these policies that keep being blocked in the Senate. There's two examples you just listed that are being stopped by you and the strange alliance with the Greens.
But, I mean, even what they say today about the support for their policy, I mean, the Property Council have said that this bill is a complete dog anyway. So I just think on housing, they're in a really bad position of their own making.
Is it inconsistent to say you want superannuation, individual super accounts to fund someone buying a home, but you don't support super funds being involved in build to rent? Isn't that an inconsistency?
No, because we want people to own houses, not super funds. And the problem with Labor's plan is that your super can invest in any house except for your own. And for a lot of millennials in particular who have decent sized balances, that might be their best pool of capital if they haven't got the benefit of access to the bank of mum and dad. So I think it's a cruel and unusual policy to ban people who have enough money to make a material addition to their own prospective home deposit.